So, we're about to dive into a story that is, and I'm not exaggerating here, one of the most inspiring and, at the same time, one of the most tragic in all of sports history. This is the story of a man whose reality was so much more complex and powerful than the legend.
I mean, just think about that for a second. What if you reached the absolute peak of human achievement? You're the best in the entire world, only to have it all torn away from you in public. This isn't some hypothetical question. This was the defining struggle of one man's life.
And here's the really wild part. The biggest names in sports, the icons, they all point to this one guy and say he was the best there ever was. And yet, for decades, history basically tried to bury his name. That's a wrong we really need to understand.
You see, this story goes so much deeper than just sports. It's a story about who we are, about fairness, and about a kind of human spirit that, well, it just refuses to be put out no matter how hard the world tries.
This is the story we're unpacking today. This is the life of Jim Thorpe.
To really get who the champion was, you first have to understand the struggle. And for Jim Thorpe, that struggle started, well, the day he was born. He was born into the Sac and Fox Nation, and his given name was Watho Huck. It means bright path. And it's such a beautiful, hopeful name, which makes it all the more ironic given the incredible hardships he was about to face.
His path was anything but bright. Before he was even a teenager, he was just hit by this relentless wave of tragedy. I mean, first, his twin brother, Charlie, died. Then, not long after, his mother passed away. And then, his father. He was an orphan, left to carry this immense weight of heartbreak at an age when most of us are just starting our lives.
So, all alone, he was sent to the Carlisle Indian Industrial School in Pennsylvania. Now, you have to understand, this wasn't just a school. It was basically a tool of government policy designed for forced assimilation. Their motto was literally, "Kill the Indian, save the man." Kids there were forced to give up their languages, their culture, their names, their entire identities. And Jim, well, he hated it. He ran away not once but multiple times.
But it was in that very place, a place designed to break his spirit, that something absolutely extraordinary was discovered. An unstoppable force of nature.
The story goes that one day, he was just walking past the track practice in his regular clothes, and he just casually decided to try the high jump. And he cleared a height that beat the school's star athlete, just like that. From that moment on, his talent just exploded. And we're not just talking track and field. We're talking football, baseball, lacrosse, basically everything he tried. He didn't just play it, he completely dominated. The guy was a true phenom.
And it wasn't just his classmates who were amazed. His coach was the legendary Pop Warner, a guy who coached thousands of athletes in his career. And his take on Thorpe was simple and clear. He was the greatest he had ever seen, period.
Okay, so this is the moment his legend went global, the 1912 Olympics in Stockholm. And he didn't just sign up for some simple event. No, he took on the two most grueling competitions you can imagine, the pentathlon and the decathlon. These are the events designed to find the single greatest all-around athlete on the entire planet.
He didn't just win, he completely demolished the competition. He took the gold medal in the pentathlon, and then he turned right around and won the gold medal in the decathlon. It was a performance so dominant, the world had never, ever seen anything like it.
This moment was so incredible, King Gustav V of Sweden himself presented him with his medals. He looked at Thorpe and said those exact words. And Thorpe, in his famously humble way, just replied, "Thanks, King." He was quite literally on top of the world.
But this moment of absolute triumph, it was tragically short-lived. What comes next is one of the most unjust, infuriating falls from grace in sports history, as the very symbols of his achievement were taken away from him.
Just 1 year. 1 year after that incredible high, his entire world came crashing down. The whiplash must have been just devastating.
So, what happened? Well, a newspaper found out that a few years before, Thorpe had played a little semi-pro baseball for pocket change. We're talking maybe $2 or $3 a game.
Now, technically, this did violate the era's super strict amateurism rules. But, and this is the key part, tons of college athletes did the exact same thing just to get by. Jim Thorpe was singled out.
The punishment was swift, and it was brutal. The International Olympic Committee stripped him of his medals and demanded he mailed them back. They wiped his name completely from the record books as if his historic performance never even happened. And you can see how unfair this was. He got no hearing, no chance to defend himself. He was just erased.
But you know what? A legacy that powerful, it can't be erased forever. The final chapter of his story isn't really about him, but about the long, slow fight by other people to restore his name and his honor.
After the Olympics, Jim became a huge star in pro baseball and in the early days of pro football. He was even the first president of the organization that became the NFL, but that fame never really led to financial security. He struggled with money and personal demons his whole life, working odd jobs as a laborer and a security guard just to make ends meet. The world's greatest athlete died in poverty in 1953.
For decades, his family and his supporters fought to right this massive historical wrong. And as you can see, it wasn't until 1982, that's almost 30 years after his death and 70 years after his victory, that the IOC finally agreed to restore his medals. It was justice, but it was justice that was delayed for a lifetime.
So, why does this story from a century ago still hit so hard? Because it's about so much more than sports, right? It's a story about resilience in the face of discrimination. It's about what a person can achieve without any of the advantages of privilege. It's about being knocked down, erased, and forgotten, and somehow being remembered again.
And that really leaves us with one final thought. Jim Thorpe's life is this incredible testament to the power of the human spirit. He faced poverty, loss you can't even imagine, and profound injustice, yet he still rose to become the greatest. His story really forces us to look in the mirror and ask ourselves, what are our own limits? And what could any of us become if we too just refuse to quit?